pull the place down, isn't it? It's sort of like sends you on a little adventure, that song, doesn't it? Yeah, I can imagine it does, yeah. I can just tell the way it sort of stops and starts and turns around. And excellent.
Thank you.
I like it. I like it all. Song 4, Dave, have we decided what we're going to do, yeah?
I think so.
Is it the Britney Spears cover?
What? Yeah, our guitarist is sick. But it's a good job because there's not much room, is there?
Yeah, thankfully.
Imagine him just spluttering all over us in here.
I'm just...
That's Sunshine Johnson's at home ill, and Jay Sparkles is
I'm just very glad now. I'm just very glad now I sent you an email earlier on saying we can't fit a drunkard in here. Can you imagine it? Jesus wept.
A full Pink Floyd light.
Tell you what, though, when we get the studio up and running, we'll invite you back and we can do the whole band thing.
I'd love to, yeah. This one's called I've Done Wrong.
Of a tune. I bet you that's one live that you tend to kick off a bit, innit? I can imagine.
Yeah, kick up a bit of a fuss, yeah.
Excellent, lads. Thank you very, very much for coming down. I know
you're
all very
busy. Thanks very much for asking us.
So I appreciate it. Anything you'd like to say to our listeners before you just get off?
No. Just come and see us if you can. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to get an EP off us, just get in touch. I mean, I'm sure if they are listening to this, they're familiar with the old format. So
Yeah, of course, yeah. I'll get a few links on. I'll get a few links on later as well.
Lovely, thanks very much.
Your next gig, lads?
We actually do an open mic session in the tavern on a week Tuesday. So it's the first and third Tuesday of every month in the tavern on Smithdown.
Just all do that, do you? Full band every week, is it?
Full band. It's every first and third Tuesday of the month.
Oh, excellent.
And there's some really good acts come up and get up and play as well. So if anybody wants to come and jam with us or just get on the scene a little bit of doing their own stuff or whatever, just come down and have a play.
I see. So you host the open mic night?
Yeah, pretty much. It's our night, but we've kind of tailored it to be open mic for people to see whether people are about want to do stuff, you know.
Excellent, man. Well, I'll push a few people your way for that, yeah, because I know quite a few that'll be up for that, like Devil.
Great.
Lads, thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Right, I'm going to say goodbye to Kingdom, guys, and I'll be with you any second. How good was that?
Some of the heaviest snowfalls ever recorded on the eastern seaboard of the United States have brought Washington and other major cities to a standstill. The amount that fell in New York was close to the record set almost 150 years ago. The authorities banned cars from the roads and urged people to stay indoors. Railway stations and airports were closed. Carla Baguirena of ABC is in the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
We've got about 25 inches of snow that fell here in the city, and so far we can report that at least 18 people have died across the Northeast. 3 people alone here in the city have died just by shoveling snow, others from hypothermia and others from car crashes. But for the most part, people are staying inside. They understand the situation is unbelievably difficult, and they are hunkering down.
The head of the Road Haulage Association has stepped up his demands for the French military to intervene at the port of Calais. Traffic through the port had to be suspended yesterday when dozens of migrants made their way onto a ferry, hoping to get to the UK. Nic Perrins reports.
The port of Calais was forced to close for more than 2 hours yesterday as ferry services were disrupted. Around 50 migrants got onto a ship named the Spirit of Britain while it was unloading. The head of the Road Haulage Association has called what happened a shocking breach of security. Richard Burnett says it shows what he calls migrant mayhem in and around Calais is not being tackled. He's renewed the association's demand for the French military to be brought in, saying the authorities at the port simply cannot cope.
A pollster who carried out research for Labour under Tony Blair and Gordon Brown has strongly criticised the internal report on the party's general election defeat last year. Deborah Mattinson says her work was ignored and she fears the opportunity to develop a winning strategy may already have been missed. Here's Ellie Price.
Earlier this week, Dame Margaret Beckett published her long-awaited report entitled Learning the Lessons from Defeat. It doesn't, according to the long-standing Labour pollster Deborah Mattinson, who undertook her own research in what were some of Labour's key target seats. She told the BBC's Sunday Politics programme she had briefed Margaret Beckett, but her evidence, which made for uncomfortable reading, had been left out. Mattison concluded that voters did not feel Labour was on their side. What was published, she said, was apologetic and defensive, with nothing that really shone a light on what had gone wrong.
Allegations that the Metropolitan Police and the Crown Prosecution Service tried to cover up evidence of corruption among some officers have led to calls for an independent investigation. During the long-running trial of a former solicitor, Bhadresh Gohil, a court was told there was compelling evidence officers had received bribes. He'd been accused of faking evidence to prove detectives were taking illegal payments for information. The case was later abandoned. Scotland Yard said the allegations were examined and no misconduct was identified. But Simon Natas, a defence lawyer, says there must be an investigation.
We consider that there are various very serious questions for both the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Chief Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police to answer about all aspects of this affair, and we are calling for there to be an independent investigation into everything that has occurred.
100 listed companies have told their shareholders they may not make as much profit as they had been expecting. That's the highest level in 7 years. Many of the companies are in the oil, retail and travel sectors. Too few teachers in England are being trained to teach the history of the Holocaust, according to a group of MPs. The Education Select Committee says the testimony of survivors must be preserved because future generations won't have the benefit of hearing from them firsthand. Here's our education editor, Branwen Jeffries.
The Holocaust remains one of the defining events of the 20th century, but MPs fear too many pupils have a superficial understanding of its causes and consequences. Although it's a compulsory subject in the national curriculum, more than half of secondary schools in England are now academies, which don't have to follow that. The Education Select Committee want the government to ensure teaching doesn't become too patchy. The government says it's increased funding both for training teachers and to the main Holocaust education charity in the UK.
The director of an Egyptian museum and 7 members of its staff are to face a criminal trial accused of botching repairs to the burial mask of the pharaoh Tutankhamun. An investigation was started last year when it was found that the beard had been broken off the 3,000-year-old mask and then clumsily reattached. It's alleged that damage was done to the irreplaceable object when the repairs were carried out.
Right guys, do stay tuned. We have some more unsigned and original music coming up a little bit later. Going to play you a few belter tunes first, and then we're going to play a bit more unsigned and original. We have Joe Simons and the Loving Kind on. We have Fiction Lars, Shay Doolan. We're also going to play a track from the Johns, and if I get time, I'm going to play Rob Clark's cover version of a Monkeys cover. There's a lot of confusion about that, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Right now, guys, this is Runs You Rage.
If she ever found out about you and I.